Europe can only achieve sovereignty through EU federation, and I devote a chapter to this in my book. There is no other path to autonomy. And for those who recoil at the F word, I would ask them to explain how else Europeans can be sovereign and free from the domination of global superpowers. I've never heard them even try. I've never heard an alternative suggested. I hear often from Europeans that federalism is a pipe dream, that Europeans are so different from one another that they could never possibly be together in a union. They say the idea of a United States of Europe is flawed because Europe doesn't have the same common language and culture that America has. And yes, there are differences between the different parts of Europe, but zoom out to a global level and you'll see that Europeans have far more in common with one another than they think. There is a European culture. There is a European way of life. It is different from other parts of the world, and it is different from America. This is a point I cannot stress enough. Americans are different from Europeans. Europe is not America. The term United States of Europe is probably leading people to the wrong comparison. A better comparison is India. India is a union of different states which historically were all separate. Different languages, different cultures, different races. They were brought together by British imperialism, and when they kicked the British out of the subcontinent, they could have chosen to go back to being a bunch of European-sized, small, princely states based entirely around language and culture. The nation-state model of Europe. Instead, they chose to build a large, independent, sovereign union. Why? Because they had seen how the British were able to divide and conquer small, disunited states. They had seen how those princely states had, over the course of 2 centuries, become first protectorates, then vassals, then directly part of a British empire. They knew that to be important in the modern world, they had to put their differences aside. They too feel very different from one another, just like Europeans. But to us here in Europe, we don't generally know the differences between the different peoples of India. We think of them all as being simply Indian. But India is a union of 28 states with 24 different official languages, exactly the same number as the European Union. And Hindi, the lingua franca of India, is understood by only a little more than half of the population, the same proportion of EU citizens who understand the lingua franca here in Europe, English. India, and also Indonesia, show the benefits that come with being a multilingual, multi-ethnic union.